So one channel over the last few years at least that has been garnering popularity is Jubilee. Currently sitting at 10 million subscribers, one of the things it's known for is people who fundamentally disagree with each other having discourse. Particularly, they'll have one person versus a bunch of people they disagree with, and that one person is usually someone famous. As example, you've had liberal streamer Destiny versus 25 Trump supporters, Ben Shapiro versus 25 Kamala Harris voters, or Charlie Kirk versus 25 woke students. And most recent to go on Jubilee was Michael Knowles, who I like for many reasons, particularly his ability to state facts without losing his temper, which makes him a force to be reckoned with. And you may recall that he called for transgenderism to be eradicated from public life, meaning specifically the idea that men can be women and vice versa, and that gender is fluid, on the basis that it's been detrimental to those who have fallen prey to it and made permanent life-altering decisions, as well as women who've had their safety jeopardized by biological men who enjoy parading in women face, and don't you dare say anything about it because then you'll be falsely labeled a bigot. Yeah, that's what he meant when he said that the ideology needs to be eradicated from public life. But no, of course the woke people want to purposely misrepresent what he said and claim that he wants to eradicate transgender people as if he's comparable to Hitler and the Nazis. But anyways, yeah, he was on Jubilee defending his position, and well, here it is.
My next claim is that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
The Blossom Powerhouse, lovely to meet you.
Yes. Your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism, that our bodies don't really have anything to do with who we are, that the body is maybe even evil, and that our true selves have no connection to our bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything, but if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true, and I think that the social effects of that are really bad. It leads to depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions and their scholarships. And it's just disordered and false. And it also leads to more people adopting this identity, which leads to very high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Oh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. When we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear.
No, that's not true. In 2021. Well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
I love how Michael is just having fun with this.
As a black trans woman, I am not a threat to cis women, and I think it is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Yeah, like you mean the way that this person is weaponizing their identity, saying that because they're trans and black, everything they're saying must be true, and if there's any concerns or any pushback by cis white men, it should be dismissed as bigoted?
We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population, and there is a lot of power in the trans identity because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really make sense.
Anything. I'm just stating facts.
I have lived experience, you don't, and you never will.
I mean, when she said, I have lived experience and you don't, that's just plain false. Everybody has lived experience, and guess what? He's not trying to take away your lived experience. And the fact is, she has all these people clapping like seals around them at the fact that he's just trying to state his position, but she thinks she could just cut him off.
I have lived experience.
What if one of your kids came out as trans? How would you
God forbid. I would obviously love my children, and I would try to do what's best for my children, and the best thing that I could do to be respectful and also to be conducive to their flourishing is to tell them the truth, which is that they're not really girls.
Come on, I can't even imagine your relationship with your children, no shade. But
right.
I just cannot even imagine that. But here's the reality.
You know what? I hope this person never has children of their own. They probably won't be able to have any naturally, but I mean, there's always adoption, IVF, or surrogacy. They'll probably be the type of parent to indulge every desire that their kid has, even when it's wrong. Then God forbid this imaginary scenario comes true, and that kid will grow up to be the kind of person who will throw hissy fits when they don't get what they want and believe that the world should cater to their desires. They'll treat others however they want to, and if somebody gives them a bitter taste of their own medicine, they'll spiral out of control, or if somebody even suggests out of concern and empathy that they might have issues, all hell will break loose. And I'm not saying all trans people are going to be that kind of parent, but this individual specifically, just by their demeanor and their lack of any grace whatsoever, I can already tell. And it's kind of ironic because this person's name is Blossom, but under their parenting, nobody will blossom.
People like you do not have the intellectual capacity to hold conversations like this because in a minute you're going to reduce this down to genitalia. and then we're gonna have.
You know, if you have to resort to ad hominem attacks, that's a good indication that you're probably failing miserably at this debate. Just saying.
In a minute, what I'm going to do is correct something you said. When you said that the rapes that have occurred in these bathrooms are cis men.
White cis men, I should say, actually.
Yeah, that isn't true. Loudoun County, 2021, was because there was a boy who wore a skirt, went into the girl's bathroom and raped a girl in a particularly hideous way. And you know what? Hold on, don't cut me off. You said you wanted.
This boy. It was not a trans woman.
Oh yeah, that Loudoun County case, FYI, and just for a recap, it was perpetrated by a boy named Hunter Heckle who had sexually assaulted 2 girls at 2 different high schools in Loudoun County. And while it may be true that Hunter was not trans or gender fluid, it's also true that between these incidents, the Loudoun County School Board approved a policy allowing transgender students to use bathrooms corresponding to their gender identity. And couple this with number 1, the fact that he was able to do it twice, and 2, that one of the victim's fathers was arrested at a school board meeting, whom thankfully Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin pardoned, but the arrest was stupid anyway because he disrupted the school board meeting, and they convicted him on disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice. It adds credence to the accusation that number 1, the school system superintendent lied to the public to cover up what occurred and ignored multiple warning signs that could have prevented an assault, and also gives credence to an already credible case that prioritizing this woke nonsense is a player in what happened to these innocent girls in the Loudoun County bathroom. Because nobody could question Hunter Heckle wearing a skirt as a result.
Cis boys, you're always talking about cis boys. I don't understand the fascination with trans bodies and what's happening in the bathroom. It is mostly happening.
I think you're filibustering because you don't want me to tell you what happened in the bathroom.
Who?
Me. You're distracting from the fact that a boy wearing a skirt in a girl's
A
bathroom.
boy, but not a trans woman.
Well, there's no such thing as a trans woman.
Oh, yes, you're looking at one right now. With lived experience.
I'm looking
with
at
lived experience. You are looking at a trans woman who has been transitioning for over 20 years here.
But your identity is not grounded in reality.
You're talking to somebody that's extremely. Oh, I am
I'm not really talking to anyone. You keep talking over me.
Wait, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm here in front of you right now talking to you.
You're confused
because
about your identity.
No, you are confused
I'm
by
not
the fact that you don't really have any talking points right now because I'm.
Then why aren't you letting me speak?
Really
if I have nothing to say, why aren't you letting me speak?
Put me on your show. How about that?
Then it would become your show, I think.
Oh, yeah, I should have a show. I should have a show.
In 2018, there were 2 rapes in bathrooms, and one in Wisconsin, one in Georgia, also because of the transgender identity.
But say it, cis men.
I mean, even outside of this case, it's not just cis white men as Blossom decrees. Trans-identifying women have done horrible things to innocent little girls in locker rooms and bathrooms, and even if it doesn't result in physical harm, there have also been trans-identifying people who've exposed themselves to girls, which is bad too and should never happen. And I'm seeing a sort of projection because Blossom just cuts Michael off when he's trying to make his argument, which is ironic because then she says he has no talking points. But I think it's Blossom who doesn't have any valid talking points. That's why she has to yell and whine like a little baby.
If you're going to describe a boy who wears a skirt and goes into a girl's bathroom as a cis man.
This is the example that you run to. Past that, you have nothing.
I've just given you 3
have
examples.
nothing.
I've given you 3
You have
examples in
nothing.
recent years.
The
The trans lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Bye. Goodbye.
Perhaps I'll see you on my show.
You have to invite me.
Yeah.
Get my email. Tell your people to get my email address. How about that?
Good job.
And if you listen to the end, someone said, good job, I believe. Like, stop freaking indulging this crappy behavior. This person is the worst representative for trans people, and also she was recently on Piers Morgan trying to basically invalidate Riley Gaines' lived experience, something that she accuses others of doing, and I'm not going to show you that clip because it was just insufferable to watch. But Riley Gaines is a great segue to the next clip of Michael Knowles on Jubilee because it has to do with women's sports.
Hello?
Okay, so
Yeah.
what does transgenderism in public look like to you?
It's allowing men to be treated for the purposes of the law as women. It's men taking 900 sports trophies from women in recent
that's
years.
nothing.
And
They didn't take 900.
They took 900. There's reports from the United Nations, actually. 890 trophies and medals across 600 women who were competitors, across 29 different sports and 400 competitions. That came out like yesterday.
And they deserve them.
It didn't happen, and they deserve them. Okay, that is the logic I hear from the pro-trans crowd.
They do deserve them, because I'm sure they followed the specifications for the sport, and that's why they're there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. They want to have it both ways. They want to have their cake and eat it too.
Hello.
Hello. So I think I want to start off by asking you what you, like the word eradicating. What do you mean by that?
Well, the word literally means to pull up by the root. So not just to have some half measure, okay, we're only going to trans kids after the age of 9, but not under the age of 9. Okay, we're only going to let men who identify as women go into this bathroom, but not that sports team or whatever. I don't think a half measure makes any sense.
You're not answering my question. What's the solution?
Oh, it needs to uproot it.
So how do you do that? I want to know how you're going to uproot an entire percentage of people.
Oh, I'm not uprooting people. I would return American public law to what it was before roughly 2015.
I don't understand the perspective of how the Conservative Party is going to make any sort of progress in eradicating an entire percentage. I think it's just
We're not eradicating people. You're trying to say that because it makes us look crazy.
That's what you're saying.
No, I said I want to eradicate a whole ideology of transgenderism.
Trans people.
Literally, when they don't have a counter argument to his point, they start misrepresenting. Like, even after he specified that he doesn't want to get rid of the people, rather just the ideology, meaning that we should stop teaching it in public life, stop indulging people's delusions to the point where the public loses their liberties, that is all he means, and he cannot get more clear than that.
Like, if I want to eradicate poverty, that doesn't mean I want to kill all the poor people.
I'm not saying that you want to kill. I'm asking you what in the best case scenario, how are you going to get people to stop being trans?
We're going to tell boys that they're not girls.
So we're going to tell boys that they're not girls, and they're going to listen.
Yeah, basically.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we've done for most of history.
That happened to me, and I can promise you to God that I didn't listen.
Because we live at a time that is affirming the transgender delusion. But if we lived at a more sensible time, probably you would have listened.
And her parents would have raised her better, which, to be fair, I do think there's a lot of parents who affirm their kids and sort of let them lead the way on these things because of fear that they will be unfairly demonized, which is a valid fear. I still think they ought to stand their ground, and it's a failure on their part. So while I think that every parent who makes those mistakes should be held accountable, especially when it results in their young kids being allowed to make irreversible decisions, I don't think the parents should 100% of the time be demonized, if that makes sense. You can call out their failures while also giving them some grace.
And I think we should just return to a more sensible kind of politics.
You're not giving a solution on how you would even be capable of
I
doing
think I am. I
something
think we
like
kick the fellas out of the boys' bathroom. We kick the transgender teaching out of
to do
schools.
that?
We just enforce the law as it was before 2015.
There was a law prohibiting.
Yeah, it's there in the term women's bathroom.
That's a law.
That's why men can't go in.
That's a law.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing called socially acceptable. So, like, while you might not get prosecuted for simply walking to a woman's bathroom as a man, the establishment could enforce rules and have you kicked out of that place. I don't know about you, but I remember when that used to be the norm. And sometimes the owner will tell you not to come back and ban you from the establishment. But nowadays, with this nonsense, we've disempowered owners of establishments from enforcing these sort of common sense rules. And Michael's point is simple. We move back to a society where this stops being acceptable, and this entire shenanigans will stop being propagated. And this is one thing I love about Michael. When people claim he's some sort of genocidal Nazi who just wants to wipe an entire group from the planet, he remains calm and just tells them they're wrong. And that, my friends, is how we start to disempower these clowns. But guys, I want to thank you all for watching this video as always, and if you appreciated my commentary, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.